buddy.
Hi, guys. Well, from gorgeous Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
I'm also Frank Feldman.
That doesn't make any sense.
I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, we're going to be talking about the ongoing saga of Catholic priests and...
Not just Catholic. We're going to talk about clergy and sex, but we're not going to. But we got some new interesting.
Okay, maybe you were talking about different stories than I was thinking about. So I'm curious to hear what stories you're going to bring up.
I'm going to take us through a couple
I was
of
thinking
things
about some other stories, but
yeah.
all right.
So
but that's fine.
Even Frank doesn't know what we're going to talk about at the end of the show.
I'll be winging it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we do, baby. Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
We had great response to our call to action.
Boy, did we! I mean, really, truly, guys.
This week,
we'll
be specifically thanking people later in the show. But we want to remind everybody that we are pushing to try and get ourselves up to 350 donors on Patreon.
Yes,
and if we can do that, we can get rid of ads altogether. It'll just be a listener supported show entirely.
Yeah.
And we're really looking forward to that. And you guys have come out in some great numbers.
Right.
If you're still interested and you haven't signed up yet, we would really appreciate it. Pause the show now. You can come back to it.
Come back to it. That's fine.
And go to thankgodimatheist.com. Click on the Patreon link, which is on the right-hand side of every page on the thing.
Yeah.
Or go to the support tab, and you can find us there and just sign up at whatever level you're comfortable with. And we can then and hopefully we'll keep pushing toward that goal of 350. But you guys have been amazing, and we thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. And to get the show going,
we should do that. It's a great show.
You know, they say, Dan, that most restaurants will close in the first 2 years of being open.
Yeah, that's because they're not very good at it.
Yeah,
it's actually a really hard business.
It's got very thin profit margins and so forth.
Yeah,
but here's the deal.
Okay,
Tehran, Iran.
Yeah,
right. They 547.
That's the capital city of Iran. Isn't it?
547 restaurants just closed over the last 10 days.
Oh, shit.
Due to the Iranian police finding crimes ranging from things like...
Wait, I'm going to guess we're not going to be hearing about money laundering.
Probably not. Unconventional advertising in cyberspace. One of the reasons why. Unconventional.
Keep it conventional, you bastards.
Playing illegal music.
Oh,
They're
God.
obsessed with music.
Oh my God!
I mean, we had that story a week or two ago. The woman, singer, getting arrested, and another reason, debauchery. And I'm sure what they're calling debauchery is not in the slightest debaucherous.
No, I mean this is very clearly meant to have a chilling effect on the entire country.
Almost 550 restaurants closed. Due to, obviously, some restaurants creating environments where people were allowed to feel a little free, a little human.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe even have fun.
Perhaps.
Let it be known, do not have fun in Iran.
No.
No fun allowed.
That one is top of the list, not allowed. So apparently...
Debauchery was probably something like, a woman's hair was showing.
That is probably exactly it. Because there were pictures associated with the article. Well, sometimes, there does seem to be this thing, particularly in Iran. I see pictures of women. They're wearing a hijab, but they're showing, the front half of their head.
Right, yeah.
Right? So you have hair coming forward, and then the hijab is just sort of... perfunctory. Just it's there.
Barely
Don't
doing
bug
anything
me
at all.
Really seriously, you're going to bug me about this, right? That's clearly something that's going on. But restaurants have been on the hit list before.
Yeah.
In 2012, the government ordered cafes to install security cameras.
Okay.
In order to monitor the behavior of customers. a lot of restaurants just decided to close instead. They were like, no, that's
God.
not the environment that we're trying to create. We're Big Brother and whatnot. It's
So it
just
wasn't
spying on
security
everybody.
cameras that the restaurants that would secure the restaurants. It was probably a feed that went
I think
straight
it was a
to
feed,
the.
or you had to give them access to your feed,
Right.
or whatever. They are calling on citizens more and more to essentially just be narcs.
Yeah, that's.
They're asking. There's like a anonymous tip line now, which probably has been for a long time, but this article is just reporting or is mentioning it. So citizens can report instances of women removing their hijab in cars. Right? Don't no, you're not.
You're still. We can see you.
See you.
You are visible to
Wear
us.
your hijab, lady.
Oh my God.
Hosting mixed dance parties, or posting immoral content on Instagram.
Like pictures
Report them.
Like pictures of women with their hair showing.
Yeah.
Hair is salacious.
Or just, people smiling and enjoying a meal.
Right. Like the heathens that they are. Let me ask you this.
Horrible.
Here, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about the whole... we've talked about how Jewish people are so good at finding loopholes in God's law.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, women who are supposed to cover their hair and they do so with a wig, which I think is amazing. And
It's like, it is truly a middle finger to God.
it's a
that one.
big fuck you.
Yeah. That is just like,
It's
okay,
amazing.
I'll cover my hair.
Right.
Fuck you, God.
So then the question came up, could a woman grow her hair really long, cut it off, make a wig of her own hair, and cover her hair with her hair? Or would that be a bridge too far?
I don't know. That's
Rabbi Gruber, we need your help. Rabbis, we need the rabbis to weigh in on this. Anyway, I am going to take us to where the hell is this? Somewhere
somewhere in the world.
Well, it's
a story.
It's a university in these United States called St. Bonaventure University. It is a Catholic university. You will not be surprised to learn. Maybe Buffalo. I want to say Buffalo. Anyway, were you just shuffling off to Buffalo?
Yeah.
Is that what you were doing? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, you don't have to be a Catholic to teach at St. Bonaventure.
Oh.
Obviously, they have lots of non-theological subject matter there.
Sure.
And one woman who worked there was not Catholic. Her name was Pauline Hoffman, Dr. Pauline Hoffman, and she had worked there for a while. She sent an email, just a quick heads up, to the vice president of the college.
Okay.
To say, just so you know, I'm going on campus TV. They want me to talk about my faith as a Wicca.
Oh.
So just wanted to give you a heads up that's it's Halloween. They like to talk to witches at Halloween. They're all interested in whatever. Well, this touched off a bit of a kerfuffle, if you will, leading to eventually her being asked to resign her position as a dean of a college.
No.
And being told that she basically couldn't possibly move up the ladder anymore. Eventually, at one point, they asked her to sign a letter, just sort of stating that she would adhere to the values, the Catholic values of the school, which she signed. But she did ask, if I were Jewish, would I have to sign this? And they were like, no, not if you're Jewish, but you're obviously
But you're a witch.
A crazy heathen witch, and our book talks a lot about what we should do with you, and you're lucky we're not burning you, frankly.
So get off our campus.
So anyway, she's suing. There's a lawsuit in motion, and she's alleging all these things. They haven't been shown to be true in the court of law.
Okay.
But she's alleging discrimination. It's so funny. It's hard to tell if she's discriminated against more because she's a witch or more just because she's a woman. Who knows? Who even knows at this? It's just one of those things. She was apparently given a shorter contract as dean than most of all the male deans in the thing. They were all given 3-year contracts. She was given a 2-year contract. It's all very strange. Anyway,
you just can't trust women in positions of authority.
Well, certainly not witches. What if they cast a spell on you? You give them 2 years to see how their spell casting goes. But what if they do? Then what?
Oh my God.
The problem when you believe in a bunch of magic is that if somebody else believes in different contradictory magic,
well, she needs to hex them.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You're
Really?
going to have me step down?
I don't think you
and
want...
then just cackle. Just
Right, exactly. Do you want that? Let me ask my little doll of you if they want that.
Do you want that?
Is that what you want?
Just pull out a needle. Big, long,
We're now going to get emails that tell us that Wicca don't do voodoo dolls. That's probably true. Whatever.
Probably true.
Maybe. Why not? Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they?
Well, at least, no, my broom. No, I'm just cleaning up.
Yeah.
Just cleaning up.
Just cleaning up.
All right. Dan.
Yeah.
There was a big to-do a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit long. About then. Having to do with Pride Month.
Okay.
June being Pride Month.
Yes.
Gay Pride Month.
Yep. LGBT Pride Month.
LGBT
plus.
Right.
Et cetera. Pride
All
Month.
of them. Yes. Anyway, that and U.S. embassies abroad throughout the world, right?
Okay. Yes.
Because it had become a thing under the Obama administration that the embassies that wanted to could fly pride flags.
A rainbow flag.
A rainbow flag during the month of June to show their support under a smaller flag and under the American flag.
Right.
And it could be flown at U.S. embassies.
Right.
And by the end of his administration, it pretty much was just a blanket thing. Don't even bother asking.
Yeah,
you just have approval.
Right.
It's really the ambassador's discretion.
Sure.
Based on whatever decision that person, whatever things they might be taking into account based on where they are in the world or something. I don't know. But anyway, so a number of embassies started asking, well, can we have permission to continue this? And you don't ask permission for this. But they did. They were stupid. They asked. And this year, the State Department was like, yeah, no. We're going to reject all of these requests specifically to hoist rainbow flags outside their buildings.
Right.
Following the old standards, right? Well, a handful of, I guess, because they're not all embassies. Some of them are also, consulates and whatnot. So missions, U.S. missions, that would be kind of the inclusive blanket term. So a bunch of U.S. missions, including Seoul and Chennai, India, sort of partially, they draped part of their building with a pride flag.
Ooh.
So they weren't flying it. They were just sort of attached it to the face of the building.
Sure. That's what Andrea and I did too.
Oh, yeah, you did. The embassy in New Delhi actually lit their building up with rainbow-colored lights.
Oh.
The website for the embassy in Santiago, Chile, shows a video of their chief diplomat raising a rainbow flag last month for the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia.
Love it.
The Vienna Embassy's website is currently featuring a photo of a rainbow flag flying below the American flag on a mast jutting from the building. So they're finding their ways of doing it.
So they're basically complying by not complying.
Yeah. U.S. diplomats in Jerusalem joined a pride parade.
Good.
Several ambassadors have tweeted photos of themselves in local parades or standing outside the embassy surrounded by employees holding up letters spelling pride.
I love it.
They're it's an insurrection.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
They are in revolt over this issue, and rightly so. There's, just like any place in this world at this point, there are tons of gay people working at the State Department,
right,
and working at these embassies and these ambassadors. And in fact, I mean, Trump actually has appointed a couple gay ambassadors. This is where it all gets really funky and weird.
Yeah.
Is that Trump was also the first Republican president to actually issue a Pride Month statement or something, like his first year in the presidency. And then but then they're taking all these weird turns.
Well, Trump had a tweet this year on May 31st.
Yeah.
That was I just pulled it up. It says, as we celebrate LGBT Pride Month and recognize the outstanding contributions of LGBT people, contributions LGBT people have made to our great nation, let us also stand in solidarity with the many LGBT people who live in dozens of countries worldwide that punish, imprison, or even execute individuals on the basis of their sexual orientation. My administration has launched a global campaign to decriminalize homosexuality and invite all nations to join us in this effort.
And then they can't fucking fly the pride flag.
Right, because it's bullshit. And this is the same administration that took away trans rights to be in the military and all of this. They are working actively against LGBT rights.
And then
constantly.
They sit there saying how much they support it.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
They are some bullshit. It's really messed up, and I'm so glad that these embassies are giving them a big fuck you.
Yeah,
because they need to. Because if there's one thing that America actually needs to stand for in the world, that's a major issue worldwide, as his tweet clearly makes clear.
Right,
he understands, or whoever wrote that, because that's not him.
Yeah,
that was very clearly not his tweet. I think everything was spelled correctly.
There were punctuations.
There was punctuation. He very clearly did not write that. But he tweeted it, so, they get it. They know that it's a pressing issue worldwide, and we should be out front of it. I'm glad that our embassies are being sneaky. I'm going to take us to Washington State. In the Pacific Northwest of this lovely country, where there has been a lawsuit bouncing around for a while, since 2013.
What?
When Baronelle Stutzman, a florist, decided not to do flowers for a gay wedding.
Oh.
Even though gay marriage was legal in the state. And she was fined $1,000 and told she couldn't discriminate against her customers. Okay. So she sued.
Oh boy!
Now, her case made it to the Washington State Supreme Court, which basically it went through a lower court and then up all the way to the state Supreme Court.
Right.
And both of those bodies decided against her, that she can't discriminate against people just because they're gay. If you provide flowers, nobody's asking you to provide flowers in the shape of two penises or anal penetration or anything like that. Just some flowers, please. Right. And so she sued. She lost at both of those levels. She took it to the Supreme Court of these United States, who punted and said, basically, they sent it back to the Washington State Supreme Court. They did not accept the case.
Okay.
But they sent it back to they got rid of the decision that the Washington State Supreme Court made and said, look at it again. Remember our cake shop thing.
Right.
And you look at yourselves and you just see if there's any bias in how you were handling this. So the Washington State Supreme Court did so. Okay. They looked at it again, and they were like, no, it's fine. we were right, you're wrong, and said she has to serve the gay folk.
All right.
So it's tricky, right? Because that whole masterpiece cake thing, they didn't actually decide whether or not he had to.
Right.
The Supreme Court of the U.S. did not decide whether or not he had to serve gay people. What they decided was that the state of Colorado had been mean to him.
Right.
So I guess if the states aren't mean, then you have to serve gay folk.
Would you please, sir? We've heard that perhaps there was a moment when maybe.
What if you? Okay, can we do mediation? Let's find a way.
Let's do a little role play.
What if you gave the cake to their friends and their friends gave it to them? Would that be okay? Oh my God! So
what
anyway,
if you didn't actually put the figurines of? You just left that in a side box. You're not actually putting it on the cake.
Yeah, just
two men or the
you
two
know what?
women. Like,
how about this? You put all of the kinds of figurines, male, female, all of them.
Oh, it's a mix
in a
and
box,
match.
and let them sort it out.
2 men, 2 women. You figure it out.
Black, white, Asian,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. Just put everything to a dog and a person. They'll figure it out for themselves.
Right.
You just write the names Clark and Jeffrey.
No, that's offensive.
It is offensive.
Offensive.
It would be horrible if they had to do that. So now it looks like this woman. I'm going to say her name again because I love it. Baronelle Stutzman. Oh. It looks like it's going back to the federal Supreme Court, the SCOTUS, and we'll see what happens. Or she's going to try to take it there. They may not accept it. We'll see.
Okay.
So there's that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is it though?
No, it's not. All right. The Barna Group.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Barna Group?
Yes, we've talked about the Barna Group before.
Is there a thing?
They're a Christian group that does a lot of like polls and statistics and
they
things.
basically sort of their little stated raison d'être, as it were.
How Frenchy of you.
Oui, oui. About this is at some boilerplate at the bottom of this article. It says Barna is a private, nonpartisan, for-profit organization under the umbrella, blah blah blah. They've been conducting and analyzing primary research to understand cultural trends related to values, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors since 1984. So the idea is they're trying to better understand cultural trends and then provide ministers with that information so ministers can adapt their Christian messages to the times, and to the mores.
But regardless of whether they say they're nonpartisan or whatever, they are an evangelical Christian organization.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. But they just did some research on sort of this idea of post-Christianity.
Oh.
They have identified the 10 most post-Christian cities in America.
Oh.
None of them will be all that surprising.
What's post-Christian? What does this mean?
Well, do you want to do the little test?
Oh, okay.
This is how they figured what being post-Christian is.
So they would ask
there are
residents
16
of these
criteria.
Oh my, so many.
And an individual who meets 13 of these at least,
okay,
is highly post-Christian.
Okay. What if they were never Christian to begin with?
Well,
then they're still post-Christian.
They're post-Christian.
Everyone, look, before you're born,
There's
you're
an
Christian.
Assumption. Yes.
Everyone is born Christian, and then sometimes you fail at that.
Okay. So you're post-Christian.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's just go through these criteria.
Okay.
You do not believe in God.
Correct.
You identify as atheist or agnostic.
I do.
That kind of seems like identifying.
Yeah, identifying is different than.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
They were smart enough to see the difference there. Disagree that faith is important in their lives.
I do disagree that faith is important in my
They
life.
have not prayed to God in the last week.
Nope.
Have never made a commitment to Jesus.
Never?
Never.
I did when I was young.
I know, yeah.
So I'm not counting that one.
You can't count
They got
that one.
4 out of 5 right now.
You disagree that the Bible is accurate.
I definitely disagree with that
Yeah.
statement, yes.
Have not donated money to a church in the last year.
Correct.
Have not attended a Christian church in the last 6 months.
Wait. In the last 6 months?
Yeah.
I don't remember doing it in the last 6 months. In the last year, for sure I have.
Okay.
But I'll give that one to him.
You agree that Jesus committed sins.
I don't even believe in sins.
Ooh, ouch.
They're not getting that one.
Okay. Do not feel a responsibility to share their faith.
I don't feel a responsibility to share my faith that I don't have. So now we're at, I'm at 8 out of 10.
Have not read the Bible in the last week.
I have read the Bible in the last week.
All right. You're dangerous. You're dangerously close, Dan. Have not volunteered at church in the last week.
Definitely haven't done that.
Have not attended Sunday school in the last week.
True.
Have not attended religious small group in the last week.
Also true. Wait, does this count?
I have no idea.
Does this show
small
count
group?
as
I
a
don't
religious?
know.
No, we're not religious.
Bible engagement scale. Okay, so you'd be low on this, meaning you have not read the Bible in the past week and disagree strongly or somewhat that the Bible is accurate.
Okay, I have read the Bible many times recently,
Yeah.
and I agree that it is inaccurate.
Right. And you are not born again.
I've only been born the once.
Oh, yeah.
So-
okay. Well, then Dan.
I think I qualify.
You're highly post-Christian.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what they're polling and questioning
Okay.
people on in order to figure out what are the most post-Christian cities in America.
Some of those are problematic questions.
It's so from their perspective,
Right? Yeah.
Strictly from their perspective.
They can't even imagine.
There are plenty of Christians that also are not born again
Right.
Christians,
Yeah.
right? That don't believe in that idea
Exactly.
of the.
If you ask a Catholic if they're born again, they'll look at you like you're crazy.
yeah, they're like, oh.
Yeah. But they'll
Anyway,
also they don't.
so
go
they
to
have
church,
found
so. Okay.
that the most post-Christian city in America
Okay.
is the Springfield, Holyoke, Massachusetts metropolitan area.
Oh. Okay.
Followed by the Portland, Auburn, Maine area.
Okay. Sure.
Then Providence, Rhode Island, Burlington, Vermont, Boston, Massachusetts.
What is going on in New England?
I don't know. But
Honestly.
something. Let's see. Albany, Hartford,
Sure.
Rochester, and then we go over to the West Coast, Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, San Luis Obispo, that whole thing.
Okay.
And then Seattle, Tacoma. That sort of rounds out the 10 most. Where do you think Salt Lake is in this? Which
Let's see. I think it makes their radar. I think Salt Lake hits the radar. I think they're low. I mean, if we're talking about like how many
they're
total?
looking at metropolitan area,
Right.
Because if they were just looking at the city,
If they were looking at Salt Lake
we'd
City
be
proper,
a contender for we'd be fairly high on the list. I think.
yeah. Once you get out into the suburbs, it
Yeah.
ends up being a lot more Christian. But I don't know. Like how many people? How many are on the list
100.
of the top 100 post-Christian? And we made it on the list.
We made it on the
We're
list.
probably low on that list. We're probably in the like 80s or 90s.
96th.
Okay.
96th. That means that places like Corpus Christi, Oklahoma City, Fort Smith, Arkansas,
Oh shit.
Colorado Springs,
Oh my God.
El Paso, Texas, they're all way higher than us.
Oh my God. Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs is the 75th on the list.
Corpus Christi has the name of Jesus in the name of the fucking town.
It's post Corpus Christi. It's a
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
yeah. Can you believe that? I know it's shocking.
Don't live in the suburbs. If you're moved to Salt Lake, do it. It's great.
Oh,
we
God,
love it.
yeah.
Don't live in the suburbs.
Don't live out there. Yeah. I mean, God, it's kind of a bizarre concept. What they're looking at, though, and what their message here is that it's an increasingly secular country. Our cities are becoming more populated, a greater percentage of the nation's population now lives in cities, and that's a worldwide global trend. The world population is moving to cities, and our cities are largely, at least top. Let's see what it is. The top 20 or so, you could say, are largely secular.
Yeah.
Right. And that's for Christians.
Right.
For born-again Christians. Highly alarming.
It's a problem. Yeah, it's scary for them. They're terrified. They can't go to New England. That's Satan's lair.
Godless.
Satan.
Godless.
Yeah. Although the foliage in fall, I don't know if you know about it. Oh.
And
All
the
right.
lighthouses. You have to go see the lighthouses.
Oh God, it's worth the Satan for the lighthouses. It's worth the eternal damnation. It's worth walking through the demons.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good stuff.
Okay. Finally, I'm going to talk about the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky. You will be shocked to learn that last year they released a report in which they discussed that institution's history with slavery.
Oh.
It is an old and storied university place.
Uh-huh.
Is it a It's a seminary. I don't know.
Okay.
With colleges and whatnot. But yes, they many of their founders not only had slavery, but defended quote defended the righteousness of slaveholding.
Oh God.
Espoused white supremacy, and basically were not very nice.
Right.
So they released this report.
Okay.
They acknowledged their place in that ugly history.
Okay.
And a coalition of reverends decided, okay, great. We hear that you're acknowledging this history.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And they came up with a possible action that could be taken to try and repair some of the damage that they did, which was that they decided that they should give a tithe, essentially 10% of their endowment to a traditionally black seminary.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think that's an interesting and very reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
They do not think that's a very interesting and reasonable thing to do. And have decided they are categorically not going to do this.
Oh, douchebags.
They are not going to pay these reparations. We're not going to respond to public demands for reparations made, quite interestingly, by the people who demand that the reparations be paid to them. This is Albert Mohler Jr., who's the president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary.
Oh, my God.
And furthermore, whatever we do, this institution will do in keeping with its theological commitments, which are apparently to stay subtly racist as much as they can.
Southern.
Yeah.
Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
Ooh, ouch.
Rough.
I thought that was going to end better than that.
It ended.
I was hopeful, Dan.
Yeah.
You led me down that
I
path.
set you up for very, very disappointing
How dare
news.
you, Dan?
Yeah, well.
Oh, no.
I'm not the one who's not doing I
blame
never
you.
owned slaves.
I blame you, Dan.
My family helped free the slaves.
All right.
And whatnot. Anyway, there you go. That's a very a decidedly, now mind you, their endowment, so this biblical tithe would be 10% of probably around $100 million. So it'd be, $10 million. That's nothing to sneeze at.
No.
But yeah, you probably do it.
Yeah, that seems like a decent thing to do.
It seems like an amazing way to build a bridge to show how far you've come since this thing, it's a really great opportunity to dispel the demons of this history.
Yeah, they have to look at the fact that they would probably have a lot of people really mad at them. A lot of their membership, right? A lot of people who go to their churches would be outraged that 10% of their money had gone to support a black seminary.
I feel like,
I mean, think about that, right?
I don't even think that they had to get
their pews are filled with racists,
right?
Like, even if any of the people leading this thing were like, the moment that one person said, "Yeah, but the so-and-sos, think about them,"
yeah,
for a
except
second.
that
and they're like, "Oh."
I feel like that quote from the president makes it clear it didn't get that far. Like, it never got to the, should we consider this? Should we maybe do this? And somebody raising their hand. It didn't get to that point. He was just like, hell no.
I'm going to speak for everybody. Everybody okay with me? Okay, all right, okay.
We're going to not be doing that. Thank you very much. Oh, my God. Well, there you go. Hey, listen, kids, if you need to talk to us about anything, you want to write into us about any of the things that we've talked about so far, please feel free to do so. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yep. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TG. Oh, there's a hiccup in there. /TGIAtheist, and click on the like button.
And while you're there, search for that TGIA. Number's always out.
It's the only place.
Request to join,
it's
guys.
the only place on the internet that is that place.
Click it. We'll let you know.
Yep.
Dan.
Yeah.
Richard Land. I don't know who this guy is. I had never heard his voice before, I don't believe.
He's a voice. He's out there.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't recognize.
He believes in Jeebus, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
He's or rather he says it a lot.
Yeah.
That's for sure. He's appearing on a TV show called Focus Today on The Dove TV.
Focus Today.
Probably get a little blurry tomorrow.
Well, all right. So this is him sort of spouting off about Democrats and Republicans.
Politics. He's got the politics figured out.
All right, cool. Let's listen.
If God still wasn't concerned about America's future, why didn't he just go ahead and let Hillary Clinton win and go totally into socialism?
Well, I think God is concerned about America's future, but God is also, he's a God of mercy and a God of redemption, but he's also a God of justice. He's also a God of moral vindication. And I believe that great political leadership is a sign of God's blessing, and its absence is a sign of God's judgment. I believe that Mrs. Clinton's husband being president of the United States was a judgment of God on the United States for our immorality and for our sin, especially in the child sacrifice of millions and millions of unborn babies. I believe that Barack Obama was a judgment of God on the United States for continuing down the road that we had been progressing under Bill Clinton. I believe that I personally believe that Donald Trump's election shows that God has given us a narrow reprieve, a short-term reprieve, given us a little more time to turn back to him, to turn back to the God of our fathers, before he sends even more judgment upon us.
If there's one thing we can say about Bill Clinton, it's that he was punishment for our country.
Oh, dear God, I know.
Do you remember when he did that terrible, awful thing of actually like getting rid of the budget deficit when he sort of when he successfully fixed our economy and sent us in a positive direction?
Yeah. That was horror.
We were being punished.
What a horrible time.
I mean, he was like kind of a rapist and stuff. So
but
that wasn't what he did to the country.
No,
that's what he did to some women and stuff. But like punishment. Frank's.
He didn't rape the country.
No, that's the current guy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. All right.
Anyway,
Well,
yes.
there is that, I suppose.
I'm not going to be a big fan of Bill Clinton, but he definitely did some good things for this land of ours, but not according to Richard Land. Anyway, hey, we had some folks write into us.
We did indeed.
And call in.
I know.
Etc. Emily wrote in, "Hey, Frank and Dan, this week another listener wrote in to discuss the idea that maybe, given the general lack of preparation for a second civil war, the hardline pro-life conservatives weren't actually all that convicted that abortion is murder." She says that she's paraphrasing. I disagree. I think that most of them do believe it's murder. I just don't think they believe murder is actually evil or even wrong, provided you're killing the right people. I mean, these are the same people who are shooting abortion providers and associated healthcare workers, bombing and burning down women's healthcare centers, and who are typically adamant supporters of the death penalty.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think they do believe that abortion is murder, just not the kind of murder that they condone, and therein lies the crime. Yeah, I think that's interesting. It's tricky.
Yeah.
Murder, they are kind of a little like wishy-washy on the whole killing folks thing.
Yeah.
It's fine in the right context. Oh, and they're all pro-war.
Oh, yeah.
They love a good war.
Yeah.
Go kill somebody over there. So
It's righteous.
Yeah.
You're defending freedom and faith and law.
Yeah, there you go. Emily does also say, thank you so much for the Members Only Lounge. That group has some of the most supportive, loving, and genuinely compassionate people I've ever had the privilege of coming across.
That's fantastic.
So good for you guys in the Members Only Lounge. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Most of you. We had a little kerfuffle this week with
Oh, no.
with
Really?
a racist who ended up leaving. So
Oh.
that's good.
Well, yeah. You don't want a racist hanging out.
Nope,
So.
no racism allowed. That's fine. Do you want? Why don't you play the
I think
voicemail?
The voice. This is a great question that this listener is asking. It has to do with some. We've been talking a lot about abortion.
Yeah.
And so she has, I think, an interesting perspective that she's asking us about it. So let's take a listen.
Great.
Hi guys. I was wondering, because this has been a hot topic lately, if you think it's a good idea to be, if some of us who've had abortions should be out about them. I already had to deal with this as a atheist and coming out as bisexual, but I was just wondering to maybe hear your guys' thoughts on the topic. I kind of get tired of everybody saying, oh, my friend of a friend had an abortion and regretted it, or it was the best thing that happened to them. And I honestly do not regret mine whatsoever. The only thing is I do kind of feel like closeted about it. My mom knows, some of my pro-choice friends know, but I'm starting to feel a bit more and more like I want to talk about it, but I also don't want it to like wreck my chances of employment or something. Just thought I'd hear your thoughts. Thank you.
I think that is a brilliant question.
Yeah.
And an important question. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that. Here's the thing. I think there is danger in coming out about that. Depending on where you live, depending on your own situation, you need to make that decision for yourself.
Right.
But I think that it's really important.
If you can talk about it,
if you feel like you can get yourself around, get yourself through it safely, and not not risk too much. Yeah, I think it needs to be talked about, and I think women who are having, because everybody thinks it's this thing that only like irresponsible teenage girls,
Right.
Sluts are having abortions. Well, guess what? Most of the abortions are women who already are mothers. Yeah. That's most abortions are women who are already mothers but don't want to have more kids,
right,
or don't want to have another kid right now,
right,
and they're making a responsible choice for their family,
right.
And and people need to hear these stories. I've had several of my friends online come out and just say, "Here's my abortion story.
Right,
it was the right choice for me. I don't regret it. I want you all to know about it."
Right.
And I think that is a very powerful tool. I feel
right,
like that actually, it personalizes it because they love to keep it unpersonal.
Right.
The anti-abortion people want it to be in the minds of their listeners either it's just these irresponsible teenage sluts, or some of the people hearing it had abortions themselves and they want them to feel shame, mm-hmm, and they want them to feel like they're alone, mm-hmm, and so they can and they can control the message that way. Mm. There's nothing more powerful than another woman saying, "No, you know me. You know, right, me to be a good person.
Right.
I chose this, and it was the right choice for me."
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's a very powerful thing. So yeah, if you feel like you can do it, I say do it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of being out and being open about anything, yeah, is that it is going to challenge a lot of people. It's going to it might allow other women who have had an abortion feel maybe better about like their situation or whatever, like feel less shame that might have been thrown on them for their decision.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's really important, but you're right. You have to, just like we always say, about the other ways to be out.
Right.
You are the person in your life who knows your situation.
Right.
You have to make that decision about whether you're safe or not. And
you may also find that you're not alone. And you know what?
Yeah.
And it might be nice to know that you're part of a growing chorus of voices, and that other women, can be part of that with you.
Yeah.
But
I'd love for there to be like a wear green today if you've had an abortion or something.
Yeah.
Or wear this ribbon.
Yeah.
Just to
just to make it visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That feels weird.
It's
maybe
very
just because
weird.
we've never seen it.
Well, it's also very, 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 very personal.
It is personal. Yeah.
But so was gay pride, and for the longest time that was a terrifying, very personal thing.
Absolutely.
But visibility, as we've talked about, has been vital.
It's saved the lives of so many people.
Right. It cost some lives.
It did, yeah.
But it saved far more.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not without danger. Let's make sure that we remember that. Charlie wrote into us, "Hi there. I recently listened to your latest podcast, and part of that was the mention that a store in Canada was fined for being open on Good Friday." Yes, indeed. "I'm from New Zealand, and when you were asking to name a country, I immediately thought of New Zealand. Here we still have a law that is enforced, as far as I know, that shops, unless they are essential, such as petrol stations and dairies," which I guess are corner shops. I love that they call them dairies.
Oh, okay.
It's a very cow-centric nation, I think. I think they have a lot of cows there. Anyway, they must be closed on Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Christmas Day, and half a day on Anzac Day, which is the day to remember the war dead. I have no idea what that stands for. Something about New Zealand in the middle. Most stores close on these days. Usually, it is garden centers that will open and pay the fines for being open. Okay. Don't know why a garden center needs to be open on the days everybody else is closed, but great.
Nothing else to do.
Right. Exactly. I'm not religious. I personally quite enjoy that the shops are closed on these days and that nothing else is open. The fact that it is derived from a Christian holiday does not matter to me. I see it more as days off and quiet time. Most people I know feel the same way about them as well. I am sure that we have these holidays as public holidays and days off where shops are closed. I'm sure that it comes from being a British colony and part of the Empire and now part of the Commonwealth. Most of the original New Zealand laws were based on British law, and this history still influences some of the traditions we have around the holidays. Also, New Zealand is not an overly religious country, despite having these religious holidays. We certainly have religious people, but the latest census results from 2013 show that 41.92% of New Zealanders are not religious.
Whoa.
Hope this gives a different perspective. Okay, Charlie, I get it. It's nice to have a day off.
Uh-oh.
But no, Charlie, no. Pick days that are secular days to have days off. Have some more New Zealand holidays, not Christian ones. The whole point of like we need to be secularizing our governments, even if nobody even cares about Jesus or whatever. So secularize it. Make it about the solstice. Make it about whatever you want.
Make it about it's fine Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty darn great Friday.
It's okay. It's an okay Friday.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a day off. It's an okay Friday.
Right. Yeah. But no, you can't say all the stores have to be closed because Jesus. Not in a you know, I mean, you can if you're in a theocracy. But I think I think the position of our program is going to be that.
What about just sort of de facto, right? Or it just the tradition is so ingrained. Say like Christmas, where everything essentially is closed.
I think it should be legal to close your store. You
yeah.
may close your store on Christmas. So if you celebrate Christmas, close your damn store.
Right.
Great.
But I mean, it's so ingrained in the culture.
Right.
Like, would you want to excise, sort of Christmas closings, even though it's so wonderful that everything's closed?
It's not wonderful.
It's absolutely wonderful because people are actually, the vast majority of people are able to have the day off and spend time with their families.
But you've got to leave room for the Chinese restaurants to be open. Otherwise, where are the Jews going to eat?
Well, nobody's saying that you have to be closed.
Yeah, they are.
Well,
yes,
in those places, yes. Yeah, I'm speaking more about back home. But.
Yeah, okay.
All right, Dan.
We've
got some people to thank this week.
I'm going to launch into that because, like Karen, we had a few other people on PayPal as opposed to Patreon. So we have some folks to thank, including Peggy, who is going to be a new monthly subscriber.
Nice.
And Timothy, who's going to be a new monthly subscriber.
Wonderful.
So
really
thank you guys so much. And then you have a whole
I've got
litany.
a huge list. Like we said at the beginning of the show, like people really turned out,
right?
And we would love to see people continue to turn out.
Yep. Because
the sooner the better for turning off these ads.
Yes.
If you want my honest opinion, I wish we could have shut them off already.
Yep.
But it's not viable at the moment. But here we go. We have 8 new faithful listeners.
Okay.
Right?
Hit me.
Those are people coming in at $1 an episode.
Right.
Like, let's just talk about these numbers, right?
Sure.
Marlena, thank you. Skeptical, thank you. Raylyn, thank you. Michael, thank you. Darlene, thank you. Anne, thank you. Jerry, thank you.
Amazing.
And Rand, thank you.
Love it.
Okay? Now, we have 8 new venerable listeners. These are people giving $2 an episode.
Okay.
Let's see. We have Rob, thank you. Matthew, thank you. Maina, Manya, thank you.
Frank did not practice the names.
I did not practice the names. Breadbasket, thank you. Arnold, thank you. Rick, we thank you. Mariah, thank you. And Dom,
I love it.
thank you.
You guys are amazing.
One new beatified listener.
Splendid.
By the name of Astro Otter. Thank you.
Love it.
So yeah, it's really amazing. All of these kind folk showed up to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and clicked on the links there to.
You can also just go to Patreon and just search "Thank God I'm Atheist." You'll find us there.
You could. You absolutely
there
could.
Any way you want to get there, because we're trying to get rid of these ads, and we're getting closer to that goal every week.
It was such a remarkable start, and it makes me hopeful that we're going to be able to, in short time, hit our goal of 350 supporters on Patreon who believe in getting rid of these ads.
It'd be so great. It's so amazing. So we're well on our way. We got one more person to thank, though.
Our Lord and Savior, our top donor, Jash.
Peace be upon all of you. We love you so much, Jash. You're amazing, and let's keep it up.
Woohoo! Dan,
listen, you and I have talked a lot
about
clergy doing very, very bad things,
abusing their positions
and their parishioners.
Shit. Not just the trust that's being abused.
Yeah, that's right. What we mostly hear about is the abuse of children.
Yeah,
which is a huge problem. In basically anywhere you have clergy, you have people abusing children.
Yeah.
In all sorts of awful ways. That is not the only abuse problem that exists right now. And I wanted to talk about a thing. Two different stories came up that I wanted to sort of talk about. One of them is on RNS, and it is about a more recent scandal involving a Catholic priest abusing a grown woman. Now, this is not the kind of abuse. This wasn't at gunpoint. This wasn't violent.
Right.
But what this priest was doing was sort of counseling this person, and in the process, cajoling her into sexual encounters. So basically, taking a person in a vulnerable state, and then turning that into something. There was another article. This came from mycentralnewjersey.com, which I think is a news organization for that area.
Okay.
This one talked about a Presbyterian minister with deep ties in the community who was, holy shit. Like, this guy was using, so he would counsel. Again, these people are put in a position to hear the deepest, most intimate details of people's lives, to talk to them at their most vulnerable.
Right.
You know, one guy knew, a person that he loved committed suicide, so he went to this priest or to this pastor or whatever for counsel, for help.
Right.
He was feeling incredibly fucked up.
Right.
This pastor eventually was like, so this pastor's gig basically ended up leading to, I have to give you oral sex to excise the demons out of you. So, yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting technique.
Yeah, had some other weird like Native American rituals woven into it, feathers and rocks and gold.
Well, that's more just to distract him.
Right.
That's what do they call it?
It's a misdirection.
Misdirection.
The feather thing. Well, you'll have to be naked for this. And by the way, I have this other thing I need to do to get the demons out.
Oh, God.
But here's the thing. The thing is that these people, these adult people, say yes to this. So are they consenting?
Well, that's some tricky shit, isn't it?
Well, I can tell you that at least in the case of this of this woman and the Catholic priest, which took place in somewhere in the Galveston, Houston, I don't know, somewhere in that area of Texas. No, if a person is in your care as a sort of counselor, no, they're not consenting.
Oh, wow.
They cannot consent because it's too easy to prey on vulnerable people.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I think
That makes sense.
that's exactly the right thing.
Is that the universal?
I think that's
norm?
pretty common.
Okay.
I don't know a lot about it, but I do think it's pretty common. And if it's not
That
common,
makes sense. I mean, you say it and it just makes sense.
right? Exactly. It's why if a therapist sleeps with their patient,
Yeah.
it's not just an ethical violation.
Right.
I think most places that's a violation of law, because of the delicacy of that exchange.
Right.
So I just wanted to point out that this isn't just about children. It's not just the children who can be unsafe. It's grown people who are vulnerable, who are just normal, nice people being preyed on by their clergy. Clergy who, by the way, they have many of them have schooling. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of schooling in theology and whatever. Are they licensed therapists? No. Mm-mm. Do they really know anything about the human psyche? Mm-mm. Maybe from reading a little bit, but they're certainly not licensed to be a therapist.
And yet they're acting as therapists.
And yet they're acting. You know who's acting as a therapist right now? A fucking Mormon bishop. If you want to talk about the least qualified person in the world to go to handle your marital troubles, I got news for you. It's a guy that that does his day job as a clerk for a law firm, and now he has to be a full-time shepherd of a flock.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Right.
Those guys have zero training.
Yeah. They have a manual. And Dan, on top of it, they have the Spirit.
They have the Lord guiding them.
They have
How could they go wrong?
The Lord directs them, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. Imams and rabbis, these are all people who are trusted spiritual advisors.
Yeah.
It's just too easy for them to utilize that position to very, very disgusting ends.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to bring that up and chat about that, because we need to be on the lookout for the kids. Mm-hmm. We need to be watching for warning signs with the kids. But guess what? You may need to be watching for warning signs with your religious adult family members.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like the last people in the world who should be trusted with just about anything are the clergy.
I mean, there are really good people in the clergy.
No, they're terrible. They're drawn to it for a reason, Dan. If there's either some nasty ego boost that they're seeking, or they want to pray.
I've met some very
and not like the hands together type of praying.
P-R-E-Y, not A-Y.
Yep.
I've met some very lovely clergy people.
That's their game, Dan.
Well,
they're trying to lure you in.
That is one of the things that they talked about in one of these in the article about the Presbyterian minister, was that he put on a really good show.
Oh, I bet people loved him.
He was universally beloved.
Yeah.
And
people
probably
probably didn't believe it.
Yeah.
When the news started coming out.
Right, exactly.
They were like, no, not Reverend Tom.
Right, exactly.
Or whatever they call him.
Yeah. In that case, it was Reverend Dr. William Weaver.
Reverend Doctor.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So, what we have is, it draws a lot of, it draws from a wide berth of society, but it's, you got to be wary.
watch out.
But I do, I don't know. I was just really interested in the fact that, like, I'm seeing a number of stories about adults being preyed upon. We can't, these people, we give them access, human beings give them access to themselves in a way that they wouldn't to almost anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe a therapist.
Yeah.
And with therapists, these people would lose their jobs instantly.
Yeah.
If there was even a whiff. They would lose their licensure. They would not be able to practice anymore. But a priest, they can just say, well, they consented, and then that priest gets moved to a different parish because even in this era of churches trying to clean up their act, or saying they're trying to clean up their act, when it's adults, they'll have no problem just moving the person to a different parish.
Right.
They'll have no problem with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it takes two to tango.
Right, exactly.
Damn.
At which point they can prey on other adults and do so with a fair amount of impunity.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm glad most of all y'all don't trust no priests. We're preaching to the choir here. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, maybe watch for that. If somebody's talking about how great their priest is, and then suddenly they go quiet about it. Oof. Yeah, maybe seek some help. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. Nobody's safe. That's the idea. Nobody's safe,
especially if there's a priest in the room.
If there's a priest in the room, just basically just kill him. Just punch him or something.
No, just
handcuff him to the radiator.
Don't leave anybody alone with the priest.
Yeah,
ever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ever.
All right. Well, if you have anything you'd like to say about this, please feel free to write into us. Podcast. Yeah,
podcast.
Yeah, write to that .podcast or podcast at thankgodimatheist.com. That's another thing.
Yeah, or you could call and leave us a voicemail message.
Sure.
The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yep. Hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click on that like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge. Request to join. It is a closed group. However, we will let you in. You can also find us on Reddit,
Twitter, all those places.
The handle is TGI Atheist.
Yep. At Frank About It. Hey, speaking of our social media, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of the work that you do. You're amazing. Thanks to Danny and Amy for being on the Members Only Lounge team.
And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music, and to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thank all of you for tuning in.
And for your support.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Patreon, do it.
Bye-bye.